Welcome back, one and all, to another episode of the Dark Library. We are on Ep.7 of Kamen Geats, Chance Meeting 6, Last Boss and Kick the Can. This is essentially the penultimate episode of this round of the DGP, and a kind of big moment for certain characters. We'll get into it as the episode, but as you talk about the episode. So without further ado, let's get into the actual episode. So our episode starts off focusing on Nago, or Neon, as she is actually going off on a live stream as one of her breakout attempts, and her bodyguards obviously show up in order to bring her home. It's kind of funny because one of them is dressed like a woman in this case to surprise her, and it's kind of hilarious because she also was like, "Your skirt is." Feels the thing with the skirt. I think she says like your skirt is ripped or something, and then he obviously looks down and look at it, and she attempts to get away, only for a Yamato area to block them off. Much to even the DGP's surprise, a Yamato area has suddenly sprung up around the group as they transform to deal with the attack. Obviously speaking, Tycoon gets the boost buckle again after doing a secret mission of sniping some Yamato, which again, even at this point, the characters themselves are noticing how hilarious this is. Anyway, the Yamato are defeated slightly, at least they're pushed back, and once we notice that there's a new last boss. And it turns out this is a round of Kick the Can, as there is a small Yamato boss in charge of protecting this can. Okay, so what's actually going on is it has this giant plant thing behind it that will go out and eat people. Once the people are eaten, their energy is converted into a liquid inside the can that the boss Yamato will drink to grow stronger and very much larger, eventually becoming kaiju size. I believe this is called the Night Yamato. Anyway, the giant Night Kaiju Yamato stomps around, and the group attempts to fight it off, only for it to flee. As it turns out, the only way to beat this is to kick its can in order to make it lose energy and become defeatable. As we later learn, when the group are inside the DGP rest area, this has actually shown up before and led to a scenario where all the Kamen Riders involved died and lost. In which case we learned the fail condition for what happens in the DGP. If all the riders are defeated, the area is erased. So, yeah, that's what's going on here. The area is erased, and obviously all the people that were taken will not come back. So no pressure, considering this thing's already munched on a lot of fucking people. Anyway, the group has a bit of a break, so they decide to, go back home for now. We get a moment where Neon and Ace have soba, or basically they go out to eat together, and they run into Kawa and his sister, as they were going to the same place that they went to in episode 1, the same restaurant. I want to say it's soba, but I'm not 100% sure, because I might be thinking of Don Brothers right now. Anyway, so they go off and have that meal, have a kind of sweet moment where Ace gives Kawa a pep talk about protecting the peace of the world, concerning that they're up against. And then the next round begins with the Yamato attacking a theme park. So Kawa decides this time around to use the boost buckle for himself, and actually makes a pretty impressive display as he tries to go after the last boss, but is swatted back and just completely destroyed. Before an attack can finish him off, Ace comes in and saves him, fulfilling a secret mission. Yes, as it turns out, Ace's whole gambit this time around was to make put Kawa in a vulnerable position for him to save him and get a hold of the ninja buckle. The ninja buckle Ace uses to essentially get past the boss and kick its can, but the boss manages to catch the can and flee yet again, meaning the round is not over yet. They have to kick the can outside of the Yamato area, or else it doesn't count, because the boss can easily get it again and just reset position. Yeah, so then they go back to the DGP. Kawa is fucked up. This man cannot stand. He is injured the fuck, and he says that he will no longer trust Ace after basically, Ace told him all those sweet nothings. Which, what was the theme song called again? Trust Last. Okay, I'm laughing, but these four were becoming somewhat friends, and now, obviously Kate was like, "No, hate you." Ugh. Anyway, and that ends our episode with Kayla knocked out. The Boss Jyamato basically needs to appear again and need to figure out a way to kick its can for one of them to win the DGP this round. And that ends our episode. It's a pretty short when you sum it up like that, because in fact this was, compared to last week's, especially a mostly action-y episode. But there's a lot more detail I didn't go into, so let's dig into that, shall we? So this episode actually had a good amount of revelations about it. For one thing, we learned of a main goal Ace has of finding his mother, which is a bit of a surprise. We also learned that the DGP has been going on for at least 2,000 years, considering the fact that Ace reveals he's been playing this since 1 AD. Yeah, that coin he holds and plays around with is an authentic Roman coin that he's had since it was new. That is a surprise. So we'll come back to the question I also asked in Revice with, I forget his name, the main villain, considering the fact that, he was connected to the big bad there, who canonically showed up in South America while he was Japanese. And again, with Ace is apparently from the Roman times. I'm gonna ask, why are you Japanese? I mean, there could be some easy explanations here or there, or just could be, casting decisions here or there, and my model's fucking up. But, anyway, I come to that because my mental disconnect about, wait, you're supposed to be from there, why are you this? Anyway, yeah, the DGP is going on for 2,000 years. This battle has been going on for 2,000 years. It's also led to a bunch of people making jokes about Ace effectively being the oldest Kamen Rider on record, meaning he is technically the first Kamen Rider, at least in terms of date. I mean, obviously, it's just a bit of a joke of time period, although, if we count older, there maybe the original Amazon, our original O's would count, because I think they're from pre-recorded history, and Ace is from at least recorded history, so, it's funny when you think about these things. Yeah, so, even considering, Ace is currently the oldest Reiwa rider, but even when we consider, Showa stuff, he's not, because technically speaking, the Creation Kings would have been Kamen Riders too, at least they would have had the forms. And I'm thinking way too hard about this stupid joke. Anyway, we have the stuff with that reveal and how long this fight has been going on for, meaning, damn, this has been a long ass time coming. You also learn that, obviously we know that the DGP can make the fight seem like they never existed because, obviously, Keiwa and Neon forgot about the previous timeline, our previous world, in which they saw a Yamato attack, and Ace wasn't the biggest celebrity in the world. Oh, wait, this also means that at one point in time, Ace either wished for immortality, or he just keeps playing and just doesn't age because of that. Speaking of, because we now know Ace's main motivation, that begs an answer for a lot of things. Did Ace not make his wish to be Star of the Stars out of a simple vanity, but as a giant bull sign to say, "Here, Mom, here I am. It's Ace, your baby boy." To put a giant target on his back so his mother could find him. That would make sense. That's some kind of logical sense there. I don't know if the show's going for that. They might play into Ace's vanity, and which, hey, that's a fine thing. But, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, it's like, holy shit, that'll explain a lot. Also, obviously Ace hasn't been the solo winning all the DGPs. Considering the fact that we don't know how many DGPs have happened, but it's been going on for 2,000 years. So, at least. So that means Ace has lost a few competitions and won a few competitions. It would be cheap if the show said, oh no, Ace has won every competition. It's been the god desire for DGP this entire time. But, I would like to doubt that. We also... It makes a bit of sense too, because the DGP seems to like to re-recruit competent writers who have made it at least to the final round and survived, because that's how Buffa came back. And that also makes sense. all these considering, like, of course you'd want to get back the guys who are competent. They're already competent. Okay, anyway, back to the other stuff that's not involving Ace. Although kind of involving Ace, because Keiwa. I skipped over the beginning part of the episode where Keiwa, we went a little bit over Keiwa's stuff. How he, at one point in time, wanted to be a ninja. That's ironic, considering the leak scans that we got. And obviously, the green suit was going to the guy with the green helmet. That just makes the most fucking sense, so. As well as we learned that Keiwa and his sister, I forget her name, their parents died approximately 10 years ago to the current plot line, to the current world. So I wonder if this is going to tie into the games in any way. And then obviously we have, Keiwa being tricked by Ace, like in episode 2 yet again. But this time for Ace to get a hold of the ninja buckle. Obviously Ace uses the same line of, don't worry, I'll protect the world on him that he did that time too. But, Keiwa's having none of it now. He is completely fed up with Ace after all that, after, him tricking him 2 times. And they said that they were becoming kind of friends. Even Keiwa felt like Ace was kind of at least backing him up a little bit with all the pep talk. But, Ace is the guy who keeps saying he's going to win no matter what. So it's, obviously not underneath him to pull something like this that even Buffa thinks is kind of bullshit. Even Buffa's like, man, that's kind of low. I mean, like, Buffa wasn't, like, obviously the most, isn't obviously the most, becoming person when it comes to this stuff, but, he still has some morals in regards to how he fights the other writers. Also, Ace also knows everyone's wish, as he spouts out all their wishes, for world peace, for love, for defeating all the Kamen Riders. And yeah, this is a part 1 episode to a much probably bigger part 2, where we'll see who actually wins this DGP round, and then we'll obviously see what's next. We haven't even got this season's super power up yet, or super form yet, and we're already at the end of a round of the DGP. It begs the question about what's going to happen when this round ends, or if the DGP will keep going from this round or something like that. It's weird. Or maybe we'll just reset to a whole new DGP. We don't know. That's what makes this all interesting. As well as, all the stuff with Ace's, backstory that just got subtly revealed to us about a lot of stuff. Although, again, the whole thing it's kind of hilarious when you think about it in real world logic. Also, all the jokes about Ace being fucking old. And yeah, that is episode 7. I really if anything, this makes me really look forward to what episode 8 will be, because typically with these part 1, part 2 episodes, when you get both parts, it becomes a really fine thing, really cool. And episode 8 is poised to be one of the best episodes of Geats yet, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope it doesn't diss a fucking point, because sometimes that does happen and it always hurts when it does. But hopefully, Geats has been pretty good so far, and I will see all of you guys next time. Hopefully Geats will continue to not disappoint. At least I hope so.